Welcome, everyone. I'm Amy Seeley, president of Seeley Test Pros and Leap, helping students to succeed in all kinds of tests from 8th grade to grad school throughout Ohio.
And I'm Mike Bergen, president of Chariot Learning and TestBright, helping students with test school and life based out of Rochester, New York.
Between the two of us today, we have over 60 years of experience at the highest levels of the test preparation and supplemental education industries.
We both love to talk and learn about the latest issues in education, testing, and admissions. So let's get down to tests and the rest. The fascinating topic we want to explore today is what colleges aren't telling you. But first, let's meet our special guest, Reetu Gupta.
Reetu Gupta is the co-founder and CEO of Cirkled In, the #1 student portfolio platform connecting students with colleges, internships, jobs, and scholarships. Under her leadership, Cirkled In has grown to over 1 million students, earning top national and global awards. Featured in major media, Cirkled In is transforming education and workforce readiness for the next generation. A firm believer that education is the most powerful tool for change, Reetu is on a mission to ensure that every student has access to the opportunities they deserve. Welcome.
Thank you very much, Amy. Appreciate it. Lovely to be here.
Lovely to have you here, Reetu. This topic, what colleges aren't telling you, promises to be a fun conversation. Before we dive into that, though, we'd love to hear a bit about your entrepreneurial journey and how you landed in the admissions space.
Absolutely, Mike and Amy. Again, thank you for including me into this, podcast. Looking forward to having amazing conversation. So my journey started actually way back when I was a kid because my mom is a teacher and she started a school in our home and dragged me into running it. Being a teenager, I hated it, I tell you that. But now looking back, I think that was the seedling for not only entrepreneurship, but the value of education. I grew up, with this Nelson Mandela's quote, education is the most powerful weapon to change the world. Fast forward, I have 2 kids going through K-12 journey and their admissions. Oh my God. And what I thought, okay, we are sending people to moon. We are working on Mars colonization.
We're sending people to the moon. We can't get kids to school. The college is too complicated.
College. Yes. And we are using 100-year-old SAT test, which is fine, but kids have changed. So there's got to be a better way to tell my kid's story to colleges. Didn't find anything. So being a mom, a marketer, and an engineer, decided to make one. And that resulted in Circled In, which is, we believe, is like LinkedIn for high school students and college students, giving them a platform to tell their story. Because in the end, it's your story that matters.
Yeah, it's funny how you talk about the fact that we can put a man on the moon, although we haven't done that in a long time. And the complexities, it's interesting because, like NASA would say, well, it's getting tougher. It's more and more complicated to put a person into space. And it's become more and more complicated for students to land at the colleges that they aspire to visit. We always talk about how there's a college for every student that wants to go to college, but right, you're not shooting for the nearest mountaintop, you're shooting for the moon, and it's a much more complex journey.
Yes, absolutely. And Mike, after going through 2 kids' college admission, and both are very different, I can talk about my personal experience as well, but it's all about who that kid is, who your kid is, and where they will be a best fit. It's not about best college, it's about best fit. I think million people have said that and million people hear that, but it doesn't, it has to sink in. Harvard may not be fit for everybody. MIT may not be fit for every kid. My kid could thrive at local state university and go to do amazing things. So it's all about best fit. And that is how I believe, the college admissions is also evolving. Yes, putting people on moon is hard. I believe putting kids in the right fit college is also not easy. May not be the same scale, but it's very similar. The challenge here is also that it's more qualitative. It's more human. It's like, it's not just a test score or a GPA that will get you in the best fit. Best fit varies a lot. Both my kids are in very different environments because they are 2 different kids.
But at the same time, it probably took them the same amount of work to be able to arrive at sort of that destination. I think what's interesting, obviously, all of us 3 here are parents of college kids, if you will. And that makes us of a certain age, right? And so we do know that getting into college or the college admissions journey is not what it was years ago. I mean, certainly over COVID, it's changed a lot, but I'm wondering what are colleges actually looking for today that maybe they weren't before and parents might not be aware of?
Very good question, Amy. And this is where I think parents need to be more in the know. So, olden days, like I was mentioning, SAT is a 100-year-old test. In 100 years, how much our country has changed? Not only industrial revolution, not only internet, now AI is here, right? So the world has changed and the workforce is changing. Corporate America is changing. So colleges are also looking at who we are getting in that will be successful getting out and be the contributing member of society. So how it is changing, previously it was you have good test score, you have solid GPA, and few extracurricular activities, a decent essay, and you are good to go. Things have changed. Colleges are now looking at who you are actually as a human and what is the evidence of what you have done. Not only academically, that's what we call minimum to compete. You have to have good GPA to get into any of the colleges you are targeting. But beyond that, what do you care about? How you have progressed and grown during high school from ninth grade to 12th grade, not only academically, but also have you grown as a human? How are you going to contribute to their campus community? So it's more holistic review. Colleges may not tell you that, but that's what they are looking for, holistic review. They want to see the full picture. One quick example, I say colleges are thinking if you are wearing their hoodie and you go to a store and you create a tantrum, that's a tarnish on their brand. Versus you are wearing their hoodie and you help the employee of that store picking up stuff from the ground. That's what they want to signify their college is about. It's about how you are contributing to the society, how you are going to go do great things after they graduate, and how you are going to get them a gold star in their ranking by US News next week, let's say, right? So it's more about holistic review that colleges are looking at beyond GPS, beyond test scores. And that is one they are looking at what is your real world experience, what kind of internships, what kind of leadership you have done, work you have done, volunteering, all of that stuff, which is more qualitative than quantitative. Is your story compelling?
Right. The schools want to get past just the numbers, which actually are some of the most important aspects of the application, and dig into the person, look at character, look at curiosity, look at all of that. I would be remiss if I didn't point out, right? Yes, the SAT is a 100-year-old test, but it's changed a lot over 100 years. Today's SAT is completely digital and it reflects what colleges tell College Board they're looking for today. But right, the numbers aren't just, like we've always said, because colleges won't say anything other than this, that grades are the single most important factor in admissions, right? So what should the parent who is thinking about selective schools, because we're talking about selective schools, okay, your open admit schools aren't looking at anybody's story,
Correct.
right? We're looking
Yes.
at selective
No.
school. And they're thinking, well, my kid has great grades, or maybe even my kid doesn't have great grades.
Mhm.
What should they do to feel a little more confident about their kids' prospects?
Yes, very good question. And Mike, I do want to reinforce about even test score and GPA. As they say, it's a minimum to compete. You have to have that,
Yes.
right? Now, if you don't have good GPA or good test score, you can still compensate for that in your story. So if I'm a parent and my kid has great grades or not, either way, how are you going to compensate that? The good news is quantitative numbers and qualitative story, they go hand in hand. They tell the whole story. I'll give you one more analogy somebody gave me. I was like, oh, I need to steal that. They said it's not the student who applies to college, it's the folder that applies to college,
Ooh, interesting.
right?
Yes.
What is in your folder? That's the question. So You may have a not good enough GPA, or you may have great grades. How do you make rest of the folder very compelling? Right. So the biggest question I will ask, can your student tell their story? Do they have a story to tell? Can they
Do
say
they know
what they
what their story is? I mean, are they
Right.
clear
exactly?
on that,
Yeah,
right?
I think you're talking about authenticity, Ritu, right?
Yes, yes. And what do they care about? Right? Do you care about the global warming? Do you care about political climate? Do you care about tariffs? Do you care about finance? Do you care about how businesses run? Do you care about homelessness? What do you care about? And have you put that in practice? Have you done something about it? Have you grown yourself to be that contributing member, not only in your small community, because that shows the potential to colleges. You come on campus, how will you contribute to our campus, and how will you get us that next gold star, next feather in our cap? So if I'm a parent, no matter what my kids' grades are, good or bad, either way, what is rest of the folder look like? What is their story? Do they remember the story? Here's the biggest challenge. When my kids were going through it, they couldn't tell me what they did after ninth grade summer. By the time comes to apply for college, they have done so much, it's hard to remember everything, right? So are you capturing all that story, and when time comes, are you ready to tell that story? It's building your story. It's like when you go watch a movie unfolds in front of you. What is your kids movie, and are you building that right now? Are you taking it in the direction you want to take it to?
I think what you're saying is it's kind of like, I can think of as an adult and professional life, right? You do, like Mike and I, we do lots of things. And a lot of times we don't write them down, like on, let's say, for example, on our resume. So I'm not looking for a job, but every so often you're like, oh, if I don't put that somewhere, I don't remember that I did it and how it adds to either the responsibilities I've had or the skills I've obtained. And really, students shouldn't look at any differently than we as adults do in our professional lives, right?
Exactly. And in fact, students need to do more. And here's why. You and I, as adults, we don't change jobs on average for more than 3 years. Like every 3 years, you may look at the job. Imagine the things kids do in 4 year of their high school. It's crazy. There's a lot of stuff they do because not only academics, they may be doing sports, they may be doing some music activities, they may be doing internship, volunteering. Like I personally can't even remember what I ate for breakfast last week. You know, how can you remember what you did in ninth grade when you're doing so much? That 4 year is so full of life. You want to capture that.
And then ultimately, what you're suggesting is then you can curate from
Yeah, you
it
have to refine it. You
right.
can't talk about everything you've done because there's no time, and B, everything you do is part of finding yourself.
Or
Yes,
connecting the
And you might
dots.
keep recrafting your bio, your elevator speech about who you are and what a college should know, and refine it until you get it down to something really concise and clear.
And
exactly.
then it all seems like it was all meant to be,
Yeah,
Yes,
right? Like it all
right.
fell into place.
all makes
It's
sense backwards.
It's like your North Star. I'll give you an example. My older daughter, from second grade on, she said, I want to be a doctor. I want to be a doctor. No one in our family is a doctor. We didn't even come close to biology. But she, from elementary school on, everything was towards that one North goal: medical, 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 medical school. Every volunteering, every internship, she was targeted towards that. Now, my second kid did not have that clarity. Many kids do not, and that's okay. And you can use this story, your experiences, as a process of elimination as well. What I don't want to do, I tried that, I hated that, I don't want to do. Or I did that, I absolutely love it, and this is what I want to build my career on. Story is not just a resume. Story is what you care about, what you want to do when you grow up. Not only when you are 18 and growing up to be 22, but when you are 55, what do you want to do? When you are 85, what do you want to do? When you grow up, what do you want to tell yourself when you're retired somewhere on a beach? This is what I did. So that's the story. It's story of your life, and it starts building in middle school on when you say, I'm building my story, and then telling that story to anybody who's making a decision on your folder, quote unquote folder.
So, what are colleges doing behind the scenes to find their next class of students? You're talking a lot about how they're looking to curate their incoming class. They're looking for traits that might not be apparent to applicants. What are they doing to secure those traits?
Actually, there is something beyond that too, Mike. It's not just that they are looking at the application, they are starting the work way before application. And this is something most people do not know.
Tell
Okay,
us more.
I did not know as a parent till I came into my profession, what I'm doing right now. So most colleges do the recruitment, and we are not talking sports drafting. We are talking simple, plain recruitment for my freshman class, whether I'm a small public university or whether I'm a big, coveted Harvards and MITs and Ivy schools. Think about it. Your kid takes AP course or a PSAT or SAT or ACT, those flyers start coming in. How do they come? They didn't dream of your kid and started sending flyers. My kid got 1,000 flyers
Right.
the
They
year.
purchase the PSAT list and
Exactly.
they start recruiting based on those score bands.
Exactly. So they are recruiting because they are building that class. Now, previously, it used to be purely on the basis of GPA, SAT, ACT, and now they're bringing that other part of the story to balance the equilibrium, so to speak. They are going beyond those older platforms to search for students who it could be, who have done 100 hours of volunteering. It could be, I'm looking for a baseball pitcher. It could be anything and everything, whole bunch of filters they can apply to craft that class. It's literally, think if you are baking a cake.
So what you're kind of
Recipe says,
describing is each individual's college is almost like when they build a class, they're who they're looking for, right? It's sort of like what kinds of kids, so that sometimes it could fall into different realms where they realize they need more of something, in which case they could go seeking that type of
yes,
kid or those
But I'm
type of
curious
students.
about this because obviously you give the example of a baseball player. We know that
right.
college recruitment for sports is really big. And we know that college recruitment for some arts or crafts
Music.
maybe, right? Certain musicians or performers may be recruited. But what about all of those other things? How often in your experience are volunteers being recruited?
So let's say a university has School of Community Learning.
Yes.
Okay, and they are looking for students who are more empathetic and who are going to be successful in School of Community Learning. They will go look at students who have volunteering hours more than X. Other examples are first gen. Other example is household income. They got big endowment from somebody for a certain race, for first gen, for low income kids. All of those parameters are also used by colleges to find the class. If they want a mix of races, I know, according to Supreme Court, you cannot use race in the admissions, but they can use in recruitment. Believe it or not, even before college, that whole market is $10 billion.
Hmm.
Colleges spend $10 billion in recruiting their freshman class
You're
across the
talking about
country.
enrollment management.
Correct.
Yes.
Yes.
So everything that they're doing, and you're suggesting that schools do a lot more active recruitment than the public knows. We know that they're
Yes.
recruiting based on test scores. We know that they're recruiting based on sports, certain performance based activities, but it's even more widespread than we would expect.
Yes, and actually, my parents don't even know that it's based on test score either. They
Yeah.
think, most parents think sports drafting, yes. Music, yes. Music and performing arts, yes. Drama and theater and all of that. But the academic recruiting is not many people are even
Well,
familiar
only
with.
PSAT scores, right? Because they don't have access to SAT scores, but they do have access to PSAT scores and certain other assessments where those lists are available. And absolutely, it's well known as any parent who has seen the deluge of college material
Yes.
after October of junior year can attest.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that happens. So, colleges are recruiting before applications come in, and then, of course, post application, they are looking at more holistic view of the candidate themselves.
Okay, so let's kind of pivot to action, right? You're describing a scenario where one of the main things that students should know is that there's more to this process than appears on the surface, maybe more than school counselors are acquainted with. What's one thing that every college-bound teen or their parent or counselor who's listening to this should start thinking about immediately?
So I always say this to every individual, whether it's the teenager or a parent, everyone has a story. Can you tell yours? Right? The question is that as you are building your story, are you capturing everything that you are doing today so tomorrow you can tell it? That's one piece. Second piece is, are you working towards that, building that story that is worth telling, not just scattergram of different activities you may have done or reciting your GPA or test score, but what are you passionate about, and are you doing things? Are you building and nurturing that story to be told? Right? Who you are as an individual. Now, again, it's too much to ask from a teenager to know very clearly what do they want to do when they grow up. I understand that. But is there effort towards that? Exploration of various interests, process of elimination. So that is what they need to start focusing on and capturing everything, compiling everything. And I'll tell you one thing, nothing is too small to share when it comes to qualitative skills, whether it's leadership, curiosity, critical thinking, problem solving, all those.
Those are
Um,
huge. Those are the
yeah,
traits that
correct.
identify ideal students.
Correct. Yes. And sometimes we may not feel that certain activity is big enough, but for the recipient and the listener, that one thing could be a aha moment for them to make a decision in your favor. So be thoughtful about creating your story and be able to tell that story. And we can't all remember. So that's why it's important to capture everything you are
Well,
doing,
yeah,
everything
that's
you
so
have.
I wanted to say, like, it sounds to me like you're saying there's two parts to this. You have to write your story, and then you also have to write your story down. The first
Yes.
part, it makes sense, right? That's exploration, that's getting involved, that's showing leadership and commitment and excellence. How are aspiring college students supposed to start recording all of this if they don't, they're not in the Common App starting in ninth grade.
No.
So how are they supposed to start recording their information?
Good point, Mike. And other thing I will say, always look for a tool that you are never going to lose access to. You can start with Google Drive. You can start with Microsoft Excel if you want to, right? It can be as basic as that. It doesn't have to be some fancy tool. There are plenty free platforms like we mentioned Circled In. You can use LinkedIn. Any of these platforms that give you secure, engaging, that is important thing to keep in mind that it should be engaging, because if it is hard to use, if it is boring,
Yeah,
you probably won't stick to it,
that's
right?
true.
So no matter where it is, whatever tool you use, like I said, it can be as simple as a Google Drive. Make sure you don't lose access to that Gmail or that Drive, but have something that you will have. Think 65-year-old sitting on a beach, looking back at ninth grade FBLA video that you created that took you to nationals, right? What is that tool? There are plenty out there. Explore, find something. Even if you Google, you'll find something. Or, like I said, just use Google Drive. Circle in, of course. Um, LinkedIn is forever as well. Any of those tools. Question is, can you spend literally 5 minutes every week and say, what is in my story that I progressed? How did I progress? And is there something I need to write down?
Is that the right cadence? You think that ideally you're thinking once a week about your story, just give it 5 minutes a week to think about your story, record what's important?
Yeah, that's the reflection we believe in. It's reflection, it's course correction. If you are doing something that's not progressing you in the right direction, time to pivot, time to change. If you can do once a week, that's awesome. When we work with high school counselors, they use cadence of once every 2 weeks. So every other Friday, they come together as a classroom and they look at the story.
Oh, that sounds powerful. I might have to start doing that.
It's good for
Yes,
us
and
all,
it's
Mike.
yeah, and it's doable too. It's not too much, it's not too
Right.
little, and it's balanced between, hey, it's not a chore, but it's also reflecting, okay, I'm on the right track. I'm building the right story that I want to build. And if I need to make pivots, I have, you know, enough information to make a pivot and fast enough pivot. As they say, fail fast if you have to fail.
Yeah. Fascinating. Ritu, this has Fantastic. I know we could talk about this all day. Unfortunately, we are out of time. Thank you so much for joining us.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you. It was a pleasure. And I hope people find it useful.
If listeners would like to get in touch with you, what's the best way for them to do that?
That will be email reetu@circledin.com, which is REETU at CIRKLEDIN.com.
Awesome. We hope you enjoyed this discussion as much as we did. Be sure to join us for another fascinating topic and guest on the next Tests and the Rest.
Did you enjoy this episode as much as we did? Find expanded links and more for this and all of our episodes at our show page at testsandtherest.com. While you're there, be sure to explore everything the larger TestBright site has to offer, including real, expert, unbiased answers to the toughest admissions testing questions. Of course, we'd love for you to rate, review, and subscribe to Tests and the Rest on your favorite podcast platform. If there's a topic or guest you'd like us to feature, just let us know and spread the word.